Oh my god, what is that shoe? That is actually the worst shoe I've ever seen. You would never catch me wearing that. What have I become? What's good everyone on YouTube? It's me again, back with another video, and it seems like I'm just playing as a mouthpiece for Rick Owens at this point, because today we are talking about another Rick Owens Adidas collaboration. And this one I distinctly remember actually seeing on the streets one time, a few years ago. And it actually was pretty harsh when I first saw it. I thought it was a pretty disgusting looking shoe. But the thing is, you know, times change, style changes, and your opinion changes. And for some odd reason, I eventually started really liking this shoe. And actually looking around, there were some websites that still had them brand new and pretty well discounted. So I ended up picking up a pair on discount because honestly the full price on actually all of the Rick Owens Adidas stuff was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, so that's the story of how my opinions changed. We've got one on the channel today. So without further ado, today we are talking about the Rick Owens Runner in the triple black colorway. So yeah, with the intro out of the way, let's get into the box. For the first time, I've actually bought something brand new from Rick Owens Adidas, so we don't have a really disheveled box. Instead, we've got this same brown grayish color with the Adidas Rick Owens logo on the top. And then it's a lid top, and once we remove the lid, we agreed it with the same Rick Owens Adidas card. And basically the warning on the back is saying that these aren't performance shoes, they're made for like fashion. So if you actually try and run in these runners, you're gonna have a bad time. And then the shoe was stuffed with a ton of paper. And inside each shoe was a lot of paper as well, stuffed into the long body of the shoe. So a ton of paper and a fairly standard box from what I've been seeing from all these Adidas Rick Owens that I've been buying, and it's not closing, so I feel a jump cut coming. And if we move to the label, it reads Rick Owens Runner. So the retail price on these, I don't have the retail price written on here, but at least what I paid around, at least from my account, it was 364 Australian dollars. I'll put the conversion here. And considering finally I got a brand new pair for a decent price, I actually thought that was pretty good. And you know, funny story, if you guys are actually looking for this shoe, Ukes actually went on an even further discount. So they're currently sitting there for I think like 230 USD or something like that. If you use 10% off, you can get it down to like 210 or something like that, but you didn't hear that from me. So, with the box out of the way, let's get into the shoes. And here we are. The Rick Owens Runner in the triple black colorway. So, same thing with all the Rick Owens Adidas collaborations. In terms of like the colors itself, we've got very simple colors actually. So the entire shoe is done in this triple black, and in terms of materials, we've got pretty much an all leather upper. The leather covers pretty much the entire shoe, from the toe box to the midfoot to the tongue as well. The other material change we have is actually around the collar of the heel section, which is done in this like really sort of thin, fine sort of nylon material. It's got that like scratchy property to it. But the shoe's interesting pieces are actually in its silhouette. And the three main things that kind of add to the silhouette are the tongue, the collar area, and the sole. So the tongue is actually a super extended leather flap, and it actually extends a lot further than the rest of the shoe. So when you're wearing it, it tends to crease in a bit of a weird way, but it's a pretty interesting look. And then around the collar area, the padding is actually quite thick. This was the 2016 release. I do remember the 2014 pairs, collar area was extremely padded. It almost looked like a life-saving like ring or something like that. I didn't like that one as much because I thought it was a little bit too overemphasized, but in this form I actually think it works quite nicely. And then moving to obviously the sticking point for most people, and the original sticking point for me when I first saw this shoe, we've got this split like hoof kind of midsole and outsole. So the midsole is split into two sections. We've got sort of the back section that angles outwards and then the front. And then the middle part, I think it's backed by a plastic, and the leather actually coats around the entire midfoot area. And then moving to the outsole, much like every other Rick Owens shoe in existence, we've got a sawtooth traction, and on the back piece we've actually got Rick Owens written in the usual like signature fonts. So that pretty much covers the main features of this particular shoe. In terms of sizing, I had heard from many places that you had to go at least a half size down, and many people were actually recommending a full size down. I'm always sketchy about trying things that are full size down, so I opted to go for a half size down, and I will say the shoe definitely fits quite well. In a pinch, I probably could have done a full size down, but I did find that the length was quite nice at half a size down. I feel like at a full size down, you might have an issue with your toe jamming at the front. So my recommendation would be pretty safe to say for anyone to go a half size down on this shoe. And depending if you can try them on, you may be able to get away with a full size down. So I am typically a US 9.5 in most of my sneakers. I bought these in a US 9 and they fit me great. Now, in terms of comfort, the foam that they use on the bottom isn't all that special. However, despite the fact that you've got a missing piece here, it doesn't actually feel like a split sole unit. You don't really notice your foot sagging or anything like that. It's probably because of the plastic holding your foot up, but it's adequate on feet. The one thing I do want to mention is the shoe is actually surprisingly lightweight for what it is, considering it's all leather and then just sort of like standard EVA. It's actually surprisingly lightweight and quite nice on feet. The upper itself, the leather around the toe box seems to be fairly soft. I think over time it should break in quite nicely. I think the leather itself is stiff, more for the sense that it's going to be hard wearing, so it will probably soften up a lot more the more you wear it. I will say the tongue is a little annoying in the way it creases because your foot will be pushing the tongue forward. It tends to cause these strange bends around where you tie the laces, but I'm assuming this issue will be alleviated with more wear. But overall, I'd say the comfort is surprisingly good, all things considered. Surprisingly lightweight's probably the best thing about this shoe. Now I get into the part of the video where I talk about my opinions on this shoe. And, you know, that intro part wasn't a joke. Honestly, when I first saw this shoe, probably, a few years ago, I pulled no punches in saying that it was one of the ugliest shoes I had ever seen. But, as I said at the start, styles change and opinions can change, and for some reason, I really grew a liking to this split sole unit on this particular shoe. I definitely opted to go with the triple black because I thought that, you know, with something so crazy as this split sole, you may as well go as simple as possible with the colors. But in this triple black, I think it's definitely serving the whole maximalist, minimalist aesthetic that Rick Owens is really known for. The split sole gives it an interesting kind of look. The upper itself is actually quite nice. The extended tongue looks pretty cool. And the puffy collar around the back's also a nice feature as well. But yeah, honestly, like, it's kind of interesting. Like, when I still look at it, I'm halfway between like deciding if I should tear it apart or like if I should love it wholeheartedly. But I think I've grown to a liking to this, and I think I've warmed up to the point where I think I could happily wear this without, you know, feeling too crazy or out there. So yeah, take that for what you will, but it almost sounds like I don't like the shoe. Trust me, I do. I wouldn't have paid the money if I didn't. But it's still a weird one, but I've grown a liking to it. So we'll just leave it at that. And with that, we've come to the end of another video. So I'd love to hear what you guys think of the Rick Owens Runner in the triple black colorway. And out of the many renditions of the Rick Owens Runners, which is your favorite colorway? So for myself, this triple black is definitely like up there. Even though I like the color blocking on some of the originals, I just didn't like the super padded collar. But there's an orange nylon pair that I've seen that actually looks quite nice. So I'd probably put that as like second favorite. But I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video, and if you're into more sneaker content and that sort of thing, consider subscribing to the channel. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. And I'll catch you guys in another video.